Hey, Gitbox here. So today I want to go through my final thoughts on the Madden 21 beta. Yesterday I went through, made a whole bunch of notes as I was playing a bunch more games. You can see my initial impressions, those are up here. But I kind of want to give away my overall thoughts. I got some screens sent to me by mysterious persons about the Superstar KO mode. We'll show that off in a second. I want to go through my overall thoughts, then we'll get to that. Then we'll get to like breaking it more down in detail. So overall, I thought Madden 21's beta was less fun than Madden 20's beta. Now, I think of fun, like, on play is like the control over your character and how they move. 21 is going to be a less fun for that, like responsiveness to the control. My avatar, I feel like it's a good and fun thing when it kind of directly correlates to what I'm seeing on the field is what I'm doing on my joystick. So the way they're able to balance their game, and obviously Madden 20's user was significantly overpowered. Probably the best users we've ever seen in Madden, or that I can remember, right? With Lurker on Taylor Mays, he was covering everything everywhere, jumping routes 15, 20 yards behind him on passes, so on and so forth. So obviously that did need to get taken down a notch. Now, I think it maybe got taken down a little bit too much with the new change of direction attribute, which we'll get to in a second. So with that said, even though I think it's less fun, that doesn't mean it's a worse game overall, because 20, as we saw, devolved into the meta. And this is why I talk about the meta so much and how it's so important. Because the way it devolved and to send everybody, because we saw what's so effective with the movement on the defensive user with Lurker and everything, we saw that devolved into a very unfun game, even though the movement was great. So I think the change of direction, which is a new ability, which Clint Oldenburg went about right here, which we'll get to right now. The change of direction rating controls the speed at which a player can turn, also controls the speed at which a player can decelerate, which a player must do for drastic direction change. Replaces the old elusiveness rating. It is strange why they came up with a new one when they already have this rating in the game called agility. Alright, let's go down to what his explanation was a little bit later. The higher the change of direction rating, the more you can turn before having to use a drastic cut. The faster the deceleration is in the drastic cut, whereas agility control rate of turn and non-drastic direction changes. Elusiveness was removed. It was used by both offensive players only. COD is used on both sides of the ball when in standard run cycle. So agility does like half the job, and change of direction does the other half, right? So the higher that change direction rating, the more you can turn, the degree that you can turn before having to use the drastic cut. And the drastic cut is, remember when Madden 19 had that one cut system where like you'd run up, and if you want to change directions, like you go this way and then this way, and then like sometimes you get locked into us going side by side, and you really want them going upfield because it takes so hard for them to change and move directions. So that's kind of what the COD rating is. The higher the COD, the more you can go side to side without having to do that slow, drastic cut. Whereas agility controls the rate of turn and non-drastic direction changes. So like how quickly you can go back from going like here to there. So COD, how far you can go. Agility then, before you get to that drastic, is how quickly you can go back the other way. So it makes sense that like it's a thing. It doesn't make sense that it's two ratings instead of just one. But there you go. So they kind of play together with themselves. So that's one of the reasons why users on defense in 21 feel a lot slower, because they didn't really have elusiveness to have that change of direction. They just kind of went. However, they always had like joystick features, like human joystick, where maybe they don't have that. So we'll see how that plays out, but it definitely felt worse on offense this year, controlling the ball carriers because of that, controlling the kick returns because of that on defense. But, they did have low COD ratings outside of some players like the quarterbacks. I think Patrick Mahomes had like an 88, so he was okay, but I don't remember my quarterback a lot. Anyways, well, on the topic of quarterbacks, I do think Tom Brady was the best quarterback in the beta. I love Hot Route Master, and that's kind of just how it is. So, back to it. Overall, even though it's less fun in the beta, I'm glad they have more time to fix some of the issues, because there are some very easily fixable issues that a lot of people complained about. Zone reactions. I do expect them to touch up. Hopefully not too much. Hopefully don't get a Madden 18 or Madden 20 repeat. Like a lot of people say, the passing game is super easy. Offense is super easy in the beta. We are used to like passing against basically psychic zones in 20 with guys with like amazing agility, acceleration, ability, height, all that stuff right now. Like this is what I've been saying. If you can pass in Madden 20, would not just roll out corners. If you can pass Madden 21, I said this months ago before even playing it, Madden 21 should be a breeze because players will be worse rated, worse zones, so it's launched. So I hope they don't tune it up too much because, we end up getting higher rated cards through the years anyways, which a lot of that zone reaction issue could end up being just due to bad zones out there and slow linebackers with bad change of direction. So I think 21 could easily be a better game than 20. And really looking at some of the feedback they've taken, it's looking like that it's going that direction. I'm very excited for 21. I don't even want to play 20 anymore. That's why I'm not really streaming lately. Or I'm not going to stream for like July, most of it, I think. Need to do smaller tweaks to the year. Like, so this is like my biggest thing, right? I've been saying this also. I hate how they just like kind of let things go, right? They let things go with the run game this past year, all the way through the Madden Classic. They're like, oh my god, the run game's overpowered. Madden Classic was the first tournament where they saw people winning. I think was it Mo? I don't remember. He just running the ball, and then they're like, huh, well, okay, let's change it. So they did like, some changes to the run game. Didn't really do anything. They ended up, kind of fucking. We've talked about the run game in the past and how overpowered and how a bad job they've done. So they need to figure out, do smaller fixes. So that way our large patches isn't going from like super easy on offense and a large patch overcorrects, right? So if you do smaller tweaks like this, but more frequently, it'll be easier once you overcorrect to go back, right? So please try and do that a little bit more this next year. I don't care what the timing on tournaments. I don't give a shit. Let them play on the old patches, but just patch quickly and test thoroughly, or put up a test realm. Like, do something like that so that way we can help you, okay? Because you guys complain about not being able to test that much. Just hire more testers or do a test realm. These problems are easily solved, but they don't want to hear that. This was an issue. O-line and other blockers still miss guys right in front of him. Even with this, I still think the run game is very good, if not overpowered at points. Like, in the beta, we didn't get the greatest running teams, right? We got Tampa Bay, Baltimore, who's good, but their running back is basically Lamar. I mean, Ingram was okay, but not the best. So, like, Kansas City's a passing team, and then Atlanta is more of like a Julio Jones show. So, we didn't get Dallas Cowboys with their O-line. We didn't get the Colts with their O-line and their backs. So, like, I don't know. The run game is hard to judge, but even so, running with defenses, playing as a Kansas City Chiefs, like, anybody can just run all over your defense, even with your, superstar in the middle there with Jones. But I think the O-line, we'll see that when that launches, but I still think the run game is very powerful. No matter what people saying it's dead, it's still very good. Pass leading is fucked up. This is an actual bug. It's dead. Actual bug. They definitely need to refix pass leading. Because passes are thrown behind tight ends. Why man coverage is so effective in the beta? Because the pass would be behind guys who try to lead, and the man coverage just kind of get in there and swat it out because it's led behind them. Player names overlap the scoreboard. That's a bug. Hopefully a visual issue they can fix. Oh, let's go to Superstar KO. Sorry, I want to go to Superstar KO. So, we had some screens that were sent, right? It looks weirdly different. The stadium looks different, doesn't it? Maybe I'm going crazy. I didn't play a lot of Superstar KO after the first couple weeks this past year, but it does look like it's back in Madden 21. Just going through the leaked screenshots. Here it is. We'll keep going. Different teams, different names. Mr. Is Blaine Superstar KO? What? Kickoff. So yeah, they were able to get in and actually play a little bit of the Superstar KO. But there you go. Superstar KO looks fine. I don't know. I don't see any changes. But that's mostly gameplay, right? There you go. There's all the Superstar KO. I don't have anything to say. Obviously, I didn't play it myself. Don't have any feedback. Don't see what they're doing with the change of the game mode this year, with how many drafting, how many stuff like that. But let me know what you guys. You guys excited to play Superstar KO? Hope they do add a little bit more depth to it this year. I don't know how they'll do that, but I'm excited because they added it last year after a post-release patch, and you know what? Hopefully they support it more this year. One suggestion: hard flat should always stay down and not be affected by the zone drop numbers. So that way we can have like a hard flat and a cloud flat, because I expect a lot of stuff. I mean, you can basically pass all over the field this year, right? With how bad the user in 21, with how bad the user is. But a lot of stuff, because of the zone drops, you can just kind of pass out to the flat, the running back, because of how they get up really well this year on racking. They catch it and get upfield really quick. So like, I think a lot of routes will start being sent out to the flat this year, whereas in Madden 20, the flats are basically, hard flats are basically dead, because you just play cloud flats and they get up so fast and they don't turn around very well. So the racking was a lot better. But this, I hope there's some way of playing some sort of like, I don't remember the name of it, like some flood coverage type deal. So you can have somebody stop the corner and somebody stop the flat, and the user can kind of stay in the middle. So hopefully they allow us to do something like that, because I think flood concepts are going to be big next year if they don't allow us to take away hard flats, and because then, they'll be able to throw it over or under our zone drops if we have to put numbers on them. So there it is. D-line user might be the key to quick pressure. I didn't see any really pressure during the beta. The beta pressure was like whoever got a random shed, right? A superstar guy maybe got a random shed once in a while. But it is much more like Madden 19 for pressure. I did not feel much. The meta early in 21 might be 3D linemen. I don't know how good our lurkers will be if change direction's bad, but you might want one user. But I definitely think D linemen will be the key to pressure next year, just like IRL stuff, right? But so mixing in blitzes was not a good plan because, I mean, we'll find a blitz, so I'm not that worried about that. Like, we always find blitzes. Annoying animations. So Madden's biggest issue, and something that's hard to like pinpoint specifically, animations. Everybody's like, oh, how do we fix this? I suggested just have everybody go down the field in a big old T-pose, and then the balls get thrown, and then like if he's there, you get a dice roll on screen. I rolled a nat 20. I'm gonna catch it over your player. Obviously, animations make it look more like the real thing, so it depends on what you want. Look better and more like the NFL, or better gameplay and fewer animations, which people want. So I don't think animations are the enemy. I think like animations that are wrong and bad are the enemy, right? The ones that are like just annoying and overpowered, like between the diving catch this year, between so much like your defender not animating with an offensive guy that's swerving on you in 20. That's a bad animation because you're not actually triggering it. Whereas if you trigger it, it could be incomplete. So like the wide receiver abilities, you're able to swerve a little bit. The wide receiver abilities seem very powerful. I was able to catch a lot of dudes with wide receiver abilities and tight end abilities. That Kelsey was just going up and grabbing and specking over dudes. I think that's a bad thing. I think it's not a good idea for even one-on-one. If your defender's there and the offense is there, that's not a good thing. In the NFL, it will happen, but in Madden is a video game. That's a bad read if you throw it into coverage. So they got to do something to fix that, to nerf down the inability for defenders to really react to the ball very well when it's near them and not get into those two-man interaction. So I think like it's just across the line, right? There's a lot of annoying animations and things that kind of are messed up. Like I think pocket passers, they're going to be okay. I still think mobile quarterbacks, and depending if they get Hyrule Master, which they probably won't, will be the meta. I definitely think that's going to happen. Because you fumble a lot in the pocket. You fumble a ton in the pocket if you take a sack. Luckily, the pressure isn't crazy, so you shouldn't get sacked too much. But it's really bad for pocket passes out there for fumbles. The enter code, yeah. So like there was an enter code thing. I was like, well, somebody on Twitter's like, oh, could this be a locker codes thing like 2K where you enter the code, you get a pack? That's really neat. I really like the locker code system 2K has. It allows you, if you start late in the year, to catch up with a team because they're giving you like 95 overalls through locker codes, so you can get a really competitive team very quickly. You don't have to like start with a 70 and grind back up. So I like that locker codes system, and I like the way of getting it. The ball drop is really fun. I always suggested Madden should do like some sort of like vibrating table guy, and how far your running back gets is a card you get, stuff like that. But after the beta ended, I saw it's just for more time in the beta potentially was the enter code screen. Maybe for like game changers or testing it at home for other people. Once they have it downloaded, they can update, and maybe they'll do a second beta. I don't know, but it was weird. It's something that we hadn't had before. There was an enter code thing on the first screen. So yeah, I heard game was on the fast setting. Somebody in I thought I saw Shikobi say that on Twitter, and then somebody in the forums mentioned how the game was faster than they thought it would be. So it's interesting that they put it on the fast game setting, according to them. I didn't really notice much difference because right now our players are so fast. But it does feel slow out there with your user input. It's just not agile. I just want them to do what I'm doing on my thumbstick without much delay. And I want you to balance around that, right? Don't nerf them because it's like, obviously, okay, besides for the user defender, right? Besides for the over speeding of the one cut where it was you overdid it for us. I don't want the rest of it to be like hard and bad to do. If that makes sense, and hard to control. I want to be a little bit more agile this year. Yeah, make sure they stay on top of the meta all year. The meta is what makes the game unfun. The meta is what made 20 bad, right? If they would have stayed on top of the meta this year, I think 20 would have been the best Madden all time. If not, I mean, it was already better than 19, 18, 17 in my opinion. But they needed to stay on top of the meta. The meta getting away from the Madden developers is why 20 is a bad game. That's it. It's not the movement, not anything like that. They just didn't patch and fix their game correctly. They just got to listen more and do more. The run is still stupid powerful. I said that. We didn't even get to use like run-based teams and great running backs. Player switching is absolutely like, I say it's not great, but that's kind of weak in 2 weeks. it switches you onto the wrong player too much versus like the guy that's closer. It makes more sense. That's better to the closer, better chance of making the play. And it's like slow after the switch too. And so like that's just part of the thing. The user defense. Like if you're gonna have bad zones, you gotta allow us to click on and make great plays. Wide receivers forget their job is to catch the ball. So often the wide receiver, you throw it to him and you just like run a couple paces and then you run over him, right? It's part of that bad animation shit that I was talking about earlier, right? You just kind of like go past him. Like I threw like a couple picks where like I threw it to my wide receiver, he'd run under it, not animate for the ball right above his head, and then I'd just go to the safety behind him and like, oh, so that's how this drive ends. My player not trying. And that is the most frustrating way to lose the drive because your player didn't do what they should have done. Rollout bug is still there when you send a spy. The cloud flat chases too. Don't know how they didn't fix this. The cloud flat, you roll out, you send the spy, they both chase. I don't know how that's not fixed. That's a legitimate bug. Pursuit angles are still really bad. Yeah, tackling, even though they said they break down, you can still run up to a guy and run around him if you're faster than him. Even if you're not faster than him, you run at him, go right, then run upfield. Yeah, or left. It's bad. Pursuit is still not great. Breakdown tackling. It's an improvement slightly, but there's still a lot of work to do there with pursuit and tackling. People need to be punished for juking into hit sticks. This is a big thing, right? There should be a downside for just kind of going into the open field and doing willy-nilly jukes and shit. The computer, I was surprised with how good the computer is. Computer with a quarterback right now, with Lamar, so I played some games against the computer, like just willy-nilly, spinning, juking, deadlegging, all that shit, and getting around my guys, and then when you actually get your hands on them, hit stick them, they wouldn't fumble. And I was like, oh, that's great, mobile quarterback shouldn't fumble. Like, they want them to be more powerful. Dude, mobile quarterbacks are super fucking powerful. Maybe, I don't know. I still think, I personally love Hot Rod Master more, but, like, mobile quarterbacks are fucking insane. And they don't fumble now. They just go into, like, red stamina. It's like, oh, so you just got to do the stamina glitch. Great. Zones don't play the sideline wide receivers very well. Rollouts still super effective even with the right zones on the field. Yeah, they still stand, like, 5 to 10 yards away from the actual sideline if there's a receiver there. Instead of, like, following the receiver and staying closer to them, they just kind of like stick like a traffic cone. So if like they're rolling out, they got that dashing dead eye, they can still hit somebody right on the sideline. Yeah, it hasn't gotten better. They haven't figured out how to make a zone play a wide receiver on the sideline. They give wide receivers great animations on the sideline, but zones, rollout corners are still there. Rollout corners, unfortunately, are still there and still powerful. Interception camera, still fucked. I still don't know why I haven't done that thing from a few years ago where it just stops everybody and then it starts you once you go. So interception camera is sadly still fucked. Click-ons need to be quicker. Oh, I talked about click-ons a little bit. They have international stadiums. I think it's Wembley. I probably spelled that wrong. It looks like I did. Wembley. There it is. I think it was Tottenham and the Mexico Stadium. I don't remember the other one. It was like 3 international stadiums. I don't think... Were those there in 20? I don't remember them. But they got 3 international stadiums. Yeah, they didn't really change the playbooks much, so a lot of the great playbooks from last year are going to be good this year. I think Raiders playbook might have gotten better. So, like, Las Vegas Raiders are now, I think they'll be the meta to start the year. That's who I'm going to start, and they look like my favorite. Defenders need to recognize the ball better. Yeah, that goes with the zone drops. That's not too hard to fix. But, yeah, they need to get into animations better and recognize the ball better. At least, like, at their head and stuff and around them. This one, Ace Madden, I saw on the forums posted. This is a really good idea. They should separate field and boundary depths of drop. So, like, field and boundary, like, the long side and the near side of the field. That way we can play wide side deeper for, like, the crossers and the corners that can kind of get deeper. And then kind of do a separate depth of drop. But they need to fix the bug where that shit resets to 0, of course. They could turn abilities into badges where there are different levels or tiers to make them more powerful as far as you get along. Like Escape Artist when Madden 20 dropped. It was essentially a 99 speed quarterback behind the line of scrimmage, sprinting out and running. Like, you basically maxed out your speed from day one. Now, is that fair versus, like, the 80 speed linebackers that we'd be handing with? Maybe not. But, like, what if you could badge it up? Like, obviously, Regs is different, but for Mutt, maybe they should make some lower level badges. And then, like, there's ways of you achieving higher level, just like I think 2K can. So, maybe do abilities and turn them into, like, a tiered system. So you can get, like, Escape Artist 1, Escape Artist 2, Escape Artist 3. I know there's bronze, silver, gold. There's a lot of ways you can do it, but, you know, A, B, C. You can do a lot of stuff. You can do football stuff like, you know, veteran, all-pro, Hall of Fame, something like that. So, like, there's a lot of ways you can do that, but maybe they should make abilities and kind of iterate on them a little bit and add more depth that way. So that way not, like, day one. Obviously, do Pass Rush, then Pass Rush Elite, but they could basically kind of make that into a chain. So that way you can kind of build it up as your players go on through the year. QB contains, still ass. I still had a hard time controlling quarterbacks. I think good defensive ends should not be able to be cut by running backs because you know, they're professionals and they know how to use their hands and then still get at the quarterback. So yeah, cutting contains and shit, that shouldn't be in the game because these guys, like Lawrence Taylor, is not going to get cut by some bitch-ass 180-pound running back every play. They need to, defensive linemen should not be able to be cut. If I want to contain a quarterback, Lawrence Taylor should be able to contain a quarterback. Lawrence Taylor against Lamar Jackson, great battle. But I feel like if I have him not pass rushing hard and I have him containing, gotta do the job for me. Gotta do the job that I ask you to. It's a video game, and I assign you to do a job. You do the job. Film study. So, big discussion. I had my discussion on film study the other day on my last video. Basically, I think a lot of this comes down to how the game looks from a viewer's perspective, right? EA added this because they're sick of watching the competitive guys in their tournaments that they put on for millions of dollars or $1 million plus, and then, you know, you got to play employees and all that stuff, travel. But, like, they paid over $1 million, people just run stretch and dive on him. Now they'll be able to see, oh, which way is he stretching, which way is he diving, maybe he'll audible at the last second and then switch to a different game. It is what it is, right? My suggestion was go ahead, keep it at launch. We'll see how bad it really gets, but go up to 4 times instead of 3 times, and then I'm fine launching with it, right? Because, like, even though it's like, oh, now I can see your play because you're running the same thing, hot routes are kind of weird to see that all. But, like, here's the thing. With Hot Route Master, with a lot of the adjustments you can do, now you gotta have more diverse product. Now you can't just spam 1 or 2 plays over and over with different adjustments and call yourself an offensive genius. I get it. Peyton Manning came out and ran a lot of similar concepts, but he ran it out of different formations. So while there's a lot of bad plays in Madden, a lot of same formations, you could kind of have, you know, a more diverse offense. So you can't just go into like the West Coast playbook because you have near close flex. Now you can go audible from near close flex. You can audible to gun bunch. You can audible to far. I mean, it's not restricting people that much, in my opinion. But I think people can work around it. There's plenty of like Deuce Close puts out videos every year. Use hot routes. How to beat cover 3 with just hot routes. How to beat cover 2 with just hot routes. So, like, there are definitely ways of doing it just with base hot routes of beating coverages. So, I get it, but this is kind of their way of saying, hey, change it up, dudes. Don't just run the same plays or else we're going to give you a big disadvantage. So, this is going to mentally fuck with people. Like, a lot of people make the decision. Like, I talked to a few pros and stuff, and they say, oh, this isn't going to be that big of a deal for Mud Online because I can run a lot of the same plays and you still won't stop me. True. So, if it's not a big deal, I don't know why they're so offended about it. They're like, well, at the top levels, it's a big deal. Okay. So it is. So now you're going to have to learn a separate offense. You're going to have to be more diverse. You won't be able to master one kick 10,000 times. You'll have to master 5 different ones. You'll have to have a first half offense, a second half offense. So in the end, I'm fine with it. Bring it up to 4. Ship it with the product. I know a lot of people are angry with that take. I don't care. Our opinions differ. I still love you. But let me know in the comments what you guys think overall. If you played the beta, I only saw there was only between like 300 and 900 people on it at a time searching for games. So maybe more people were in just like regular mode. I'm sad they took out practice mode from the beta, but it is what it is. Hopefully next year they can include MUT, like I asked. Maybe a practice mode again. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Call to action. I'll see you tomorrow.